Yo, and what is going on YouTube, and welcome back for another Oathbreaker video. Now, this is going to be a new series called Powershifter, where we take a look at our Oathbreaker decks and how we can possibly add a 10 to 15 card sideboard to take them from streamlined and competitive to more of a flavorful casual build. Now, the first deck for today is going to be looking at Saheeli Sublime Artificer with Thoughtcast. Now, this is a very strong, powerful, popular deck, and I thought that was a good place for us to start with this series. Now, Saheeli has a lot of just general synergies. Her static ability is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, we get a 1/1 servo token. So whenever we cast Thoughtcast, we're going to be generating value, reducing that commander tax, drawing 2 cards, and getting a servo. Now, how exactly does this work? So we cast the Thoughtcast, we get a servo token, and we get to draw 2 cards. Now, we are going to have to pay the commander tax, but since Thoughtcast has affinity for artifacts, that servo that entered the battlefield is going to reduce that 1. Now, the cards that we drew from Thoughtcast, the 2 cards, we are hoping that one of those cards is going to be an artifact, something that we can cast to reduce that commander tax back down to 0 and cast Thoughtcast for just a single blue mana. And we can do this over and over and over again, generating additional value. There's artifacts in the deck that kind of, help us create mana so we can continuously cast Thoughtcast and get kind of a train going. So we have all these servo tokens. But now, how are we going to take this from a more streamlined competitive approach? What cards are we taking out that are in that build? Now, we have those free mana accelerants, things like Mox Opal, Chrome Mox, and even Urza Lord High Artificer. We're creating all those servos, and with Urza, we get to tap an untapped artifact to add a blue mana. We're creating those servos, we can tap them for a blue to cast Thoughtcast again, and this kind of keeps going and keeps going. Things like hate cards, Phyrexian Revoker, Pithing Needle, Sorcerous Spyglass, things that are going to be a general deterrent for our opponents to just play out their planeswalkers, or if their combo, just completely locking them out of the game with these hate cards. Untapping effects for this deck is a very streamlined approach. Unwinding Clock is a very good way to do that. Board wipe, Cyclonic Rift. I know Commander players have called for Cyclonic Rift to be banned in the past, but we also have Forced Sacrifice. That's one thing that is a mark of competitive streamline build for me. Smokestack, Tanglewire, things that we're gonna have all these servo tokens, but everyone is going to just have available permanents that they can sacrifice. The other 2 cards that I'm pulling out of the streamlined approach is Purphoros and Wurmcoil Engine. Now, Purphoros, with 7 or 8 casts of Thoughtcast, you're getting, 14 to 16 damage with the servo tokens entering the battlefield. Wurmcoil Engine is just a great finisher. But the thing with Wurmcoil Engine and Saheeli is she can make a copy of the Wurmcoil Engine, and then with Brutaclad, all of a sudden you have all these Wurmcoil Engine tokens, and that's something that is an earmark for a more competitive build for me. But now, what are we going to be bringing in for these cards that would suggest maybe a more flavorful build for Saheeli? Now, we're going to bring in some mana rocks to replace those cards that we're taking out. Things like Talisman of Creativity, Prismatic Lens, Felwar Stone. They're all going to get us there faster, but they're not just turn 1, drop 3 Moxen, be able to tap for a ton of mana, and then just go off turn 2 or turn 3. They're a little bit slower, but they're going to be able to get us to the same place. Card draw. Now, I really like Jhoira in this deck, and Mirrodin Besiege. Jhoira, whenever we cast an artifact, we're going to get to draw a card. Mirrodin Besiege, we're going to choose that Phyrexian mode, and on our end step, we're going to draw and discard a card. There is also a second clause there where if we have 15 15 or more artifacts in our graveyard, one of our opponent loses the game. So that could be kind of just a fun, weird way to kind of end up a game if you're the last two players. We also have to have alternate win cons, and I brought a whole bunch of things in for this to kind of give us, a big variance of what we can do. Things like impact tremors. With the servos, this is kind of similar to Perforos, but maybe not as powerful. Broodstar is just a huge beater. He has flying, and his power and toughness are equal to the number of artifacts we have. He also has affinity for artifacts, so we're probably only going to get to cast him for 2 blue mana for probably a 10/10 flying artifact creature. I really like him. Tezzeret the Seeker in Antiquities War, I'm bringing in kind of both for the same reasons. Now, the ultimate on Tezzeret the Seeker makes all of our power and toughness, or all of our artifacts power and toughness 5/5s. This is the same on the last Saga of the Antiquities War, and this would be just a good way to take our 8 or 9 servo tokens, turn them into 5/5s, and just go to beats. Now, the last one is Mechanized Production, and this is really good in this deck for a lot of different reasons. You can mechanize production on your mana rocks and just get more mana, or you're looking at the second clause of it, where at the beginning of your upkeep, create a copy of the enchanted artifact. Then if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. We're going to have 8 to 10 servo tokens, so we just need to survive to our next upkeep and win through mechanized production. Now, guys, what are some of my closing thoughts for Oathbreaker? Some things I like to see are just be social. Schedule a weekly night with, your play group for Oathbreaker or others in your community. Be generous. If someone misplays, go ahead and let them correct their play. This is really casual, fun format where you guys can, really try to learn and engage with Magic. And be inclusive. If someone is at your local game store and they're interested in Oathbreaker, maybe invite them to your next session. If you have an extra deck, you can loan them or someone else. This is a good way to help grow the format and just get others involved. I'm already looking forward to the next video, and I'm going to be looking at Wrenn 6. Now, this is a super powerful build. I know Wrenn 6 is kind of an expensive card, but he is a very popular planeswalker for Oathbreaker, and I think this could be kind of a fun deck to play around with. But guys, if you want to check out the full deck list, make sure to check it out in the link in the description box down below. It's going to be over on MTG Goldfish. I'll include both the competitive list and my sideboarded cards that we can kind of switch in and out. But guys, that's going to be it for me today. If you liked the video, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and leave a comment down below of any videos you'd like to see in the later. But anyways, guys, I will check you all later.